Hello and welcome back to another Theory Thursday. Today we are talking about soloing, improvising during a piece of music. Where do you start? How do you start learning how to do it and practicing it? And what's going through your mind when you're doing it? That's what we're talking about today. I've got my Casio 230GA on. Haven't worn this one in a while. And I've got my black tie on today underneath my cardigan, so I'm not going to pull it out. As always, if you've been enjoying the tunes and the theory videos and the solo videos, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. Helps build the community, and I love making these videos. So, I think that's it. Without further ado, where do you start with soloing? Let's go. Okay, I've got a list of 5 things. Now, some of the points here are big concepts. So they're just numbers. They aren't split up into the amount of work each one should be given, but they are nice points on the road, right, where you can measure what you're doing. So first of all, let's define what we're talking about here. When you're playing a jazz piece, or listening, you go to a jazz club and there's a trio up there and someone will play the melody, and then as soon as they're done, someone in the trio will go off and start playing all these notes, and that doesn't sound like it was the same thing as the melody. So what's going on? They're soloing, they're improvising, and that's a mainstay in jazz music, but also in other types of music. A lot of people don't realize back in the Baroque era, ornamentation and improvising was a huge skill to have. And you were looked on as a better musician, the better improviser you were. So it's got a long storied history, improvising and soloing and all that stuff. So that's what we're talking about today. So first of all, when you want to learn how to improvise, the first thing you got to do is pick a tune. Pick a tune that you know, that you can hum, that you can think of, and it's like, oh yeah, there's the melody. Da, ba, 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 da. So you can hear it in your head. That's how well you know the tune, right? So first thing you need to do is learn it, learn the melody, and learn the chords. You can do it separately and then bring them together. It's totally up to you. You just need to know how the song goes. You need to be able to play the melody, and you need to be able to play the chords so you know what chords are going on in the background. Basically, that's the first step, is learn the tune, melody, and chords, so you know where the melody's going and you know what's going on in the background with the changes. Okay. Step 2 I have here. Start to pick out chord tones for each chord. Now, what do I mean by that? Chord tones. Let me grab my guitar here. Okay, start picking out chord tones. So this is really helpful if you want to bring out the changes in your solos. So, for example, let's just say we'll work with a quick 4-bar progression here. And I'll do D minor, G to C to A7. Okay, so those are the 4 chords we're working with. D minor 7. Well, yeah, if you want to get specific, I was playing D minor 9, G 13, C major 7, and A augmented. A7 augmented. But it doesn't really matter. So chord tones. What you're searching for here is knowing what chords are going on in the background. So in this case, our first chord is a D minor. Okay, so we'll stick to the basic triads here just for ease of use. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, what are the chord tones within a D minor chord? You have a D, an F, and an A. Okay, so try to hit one of those chord tones. That's what a chord tone is. You have your chord, but it's made up of notes. So try to hit one of those notes. So for example, I'll pick the third. I'll pick F. So here's the chords. So I'll pick an F. And then I know the next chord is going to be a G7. So if I wanted, I could stay on this 7 because that's the 7 of G. But let's stick with the thirds. Let's just do that. So I'll do F, and then I'll go to B because that's the 3rd of G. And then next chord is a C. What's the 3rd of C? I'll hit E. Then what's the 3rd of A7? It's a C sharp. Right? Okay, so that's your next step, is try to find and hit chord tones. And it doesn't need to be quick. It doesn't need, it needs to be in time. But just pick one, right? Decide, I'm going to hit the thirds of all these chords. I'm going to hit the fifths of all these chords. So you can find them on your neck. So I'll go F, B, E, C sharp. So in your head, I'm just playing notes, but you can almost hear the chords. Okay, so there's your chord tones. Find and hit your chord tones. Let's go to the next step. Start playing arpeggios for the chords. Okay, so this is basically a fancier way of saying hit more of the chord tones. So what is an arpeggio? We have a video on this, actually. If it hasn't come out yet, it's coming out. An arpeggio is just a broken up chord, right? A chord is, well, let's just do a triad. So like a C chord, C, E, G. There's a C major chord. Now a C major arpeggio is the exact same notes, but instead of playing everything all at once, we're going to break them up. 1, 2, 3. That's a C major arpeggio. Okay, that's an arpeggio. So try to play arpeggios on all the chords. So now we're not just playing one chord tone. We're going to try to play as many beats as we can. So if what was I playing? So we're in 4/4 here. So try to hit 4 notes, or even 3. You go quarter note, half note, quarter note, half note. So let's do that. Quarter note, half note. And you can start the arpeggio on any chord tone you want. It doesn't have to be the root. So I'll do D minor. Those will be my chord tones. I have a D, an F, and an A. So that's right up the arpeggio. And then let's go back to the B. I'll go to the 3rd. So I have a B, a D, and a G. That's a G major arpeggio. C, E, G. There's my C arpeggio. C sharp, E, A. There's my A arpeggio. So all together it's okay, so finding those arpeggios and then messing around with those. That'll take you really far. If you can just get arpeggios down. That's all arpeggios. I'm not playing any. I may have played 1 or 2 chromatic notes in there, but arpeggios will take you very, very, very far. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Link up arpeggios by playing the next nearest note. Next nearest note. Okay, so I was just picking a chord tone. Whatever the next chord was, I was just picking a chord tone and going up from there. So arpeggios can go up and down. So let's go the other way. I'll go up and then down and then up and then down. So let's start off the same. We're going to link these arpeggios with whatever note is the closest to where I'm at. Okay, so I'll go D, F, A. So the next chord is G. So I have 2 options here. I have a B right here. I have a G right here. So since the next chord, I decided I'm going to go down. I'll go down. And actually, this would be will be closest. So, and okay, let's start lower. I mean, there's a million ways you can do this. So pick an arpeggio. Start wherever you want. Let's start on the root. Now where's the next? Okay, so linking up with the closest note you can find. And go up and down, mix it up. Okay, that's the next thing. Okay, and the last step here. Add in chromaticism and chord soloing. Soloing doesn't always have to be one note at a time. It can be. It can be both, right? You can throw chords in there. And what do I mean by chromaticism? So everything I was playing up till now was all diatonic, pretty much, to whatever chord I was playing. So we're in the key of C here, depending on how you look at it. That sounds like home to me. And then we keep the loop going by playing that A7. Right. So, but I'm playing arpeggios diatonically in the chord. I'm only playing the chord tones. That's all I'm doing. So, to mix this up even more, we can add in the chord soloing, like I was just doing, right? There's a million things you can do. But also, adding chromaticism. So, what does that sound like? Well, if you have your, let's just start easy, D minor arpeggio, and we're trying to get to G, add in that A flat to get to the G. Okay, so linking the arpeggios with chromaticism. Arpeggio. And then this goes on and on and on because that's the loop I made. But that's the steps, okay? It's let me put this down. That's the steps. Those are the steps, okay? Those are the steps I took anyway to practice my improvising. So step 1, know your tune. Learn the tune. Learn the melody. Excuse me. Learn the melody and learn the chords. They don't have to be both together, but learn each of them so you know how the song goes and you know what's going on in the background with the changes. Step 2, start to pick out chord tones, one for each chord. So you can start memorizing, okay, D minor, that's got a D, an F, and an A in it. D minor 7, that has a C in it. Right, so you can start looking at a chord and finding where you can play it on the guitar neck. Step 3, bump up the chord tones. We're going to start playing arpeggios. That's not just the one chord tone, but as many chord tones as you can fit within your bar or however long the chord lasts. Maybe a chord lasts 2 beats. Right? You can't fit. Well, you could fit as many as you want, but starting off, you wouldn't want to fit 16 chord tones into 2 beats, right? It's just if you're practicing. So start playing arpeggios over the chords. Number 4, link up the arpeggios by playing the nearest chord tone from where you end. So if you're playing a D, you go D, F, A. The nearest note, if your chord is G coming up, would be down to G or up to B, right? So that's finding where the nearest chord tone for the next chord is so you can link up all your ideas. And lastly, add in chromaticism to switch between chords and start adding chord soloing. So not everything has to be single note. you can add in chords. Okay, this is a very, very basic tutorial practice regime of how to improvise. There are so many other ideas and regimes and procedures on how to do it and different techniques, and we didn't talk about this. All this is playing the changes, right? Bringing out the chords within your own solo. And there's a whole other world where you play over top the changes, where you don't worry about what's going on with the chords. You're playing over top. There's a world where you're throwing in tritone subs within your soloing, but not in the chord. So it's a wide world. So this is a great start on how to bring out chords in your solos. So that's enough information for today, I think. Hopefully you learned something. And I'll see you for the next one.